grandchildren
Exactly.
catch the disease and then you don't know if their grandchildren has it. Then their grandchildren go and visit. It's for you to do that. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
I don't know. This is the first time I think I've heard that
Yeah.
story about herding. Um,
Herd immunity.
Hmm.
yeah, this is the first I've heard about herd immunity. Like I said, I always follow kind of facts. That's just the type of person I am. I will say factual is that based on what I know within my family, I have a brother that's has sickle cell. I have a family member that has heart disease. They both had it, and they both survived with maybe 3 days of sickness. So at the end of the day, when we think as a health community that we fully understand something, I think at the same time we don't fully understand it like we think we understand it. And you know, as far as I know, COVID was patented in 2006. So we obviously knew something about it, but I don't think we knew that it could do this. And when something that shouldn't be um, that serious of a virus starts really taking toll on human life, there's a couple of questions I might ask. Are we paying attention to it that much, or the flu kills a lot of people too. Why
Hmm.
aren't we paying attention to the flu season right now? I think the first week of the flu season, they only counted like 40 something confirmed flu cases. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. Flu season runs from September to March all day. Down in Florida, we call the New Yorkers snowbirds down there. So they get the snowbirds that come down and so but we always used to ramp up staff because I worked in a hospital system in Florida. We ramped up our staff in that flu season because we got all the snowbirds that came down and they would get the flu and they would be hospitalized. And typically it's that elder population. So how does that take a back burner to COVID right now? And are we looking at symptoms with the flu and kind of trying to line them up with COVID? Um,
I think there's a big push to do that because we're testing patients for both influenza and for COVID-19. I also have seen patients on isolation reports that say that they are pending results for one and maybe positive for the other one. And then a couple of weeks ago, we had a first death, not in New York State, but in another state where the patient tested um, for both COVID-19 and influenza. Oh, I'm sorry.
But
I don't know if they passed away, but they definitely tested positive for both. It was the first co-infection.
right.
where
Um,
I work, we are testing for both.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania as well because of the season. But yeah, Ted, some people do survive, and that's the thing. Do we gamble with human lives just because a few survive and some don't? I know someone right now who has COVID, and he has um, he's on dialysis. He has issues with his kidneys. He survived. And then I know actually he's in the prison system to be exact, and he's surviving and um, he's thriving through the COVID virus. But then there are other people that he told me about who are his cellmates who passed away. Some younger with health issues, some older. So I don't know. It's like I'd rather not gamble with my life if I don't know if I'm going to be the one to survive. If I'm guaranteed that opportunity to survive, I'll gamble all the way. But if I'm not sure, I don't want to take that chance.
We
yeah,
ha we
I
have a
think.
we have a coworker right now. Um, he was healthy, nothing, no pre-existing condition, nothing at all. He's not doing well. Um, Healthy jogger, runner. I just don't understand it. And as Dr. Carr said, I don't want to be the one that that domino that
Yeah.
got knocked over by this just by not wearing a mask.
So I got a
So
question. So if when we talking about gambling, right? In the world that we live in, and us as healthcare workers, we know
right.
what the possibility is out there, even just contact precautions, not even just airborne. Do you think just walking out in population that we're not taking a gamble today?
Absolutely.
To a certain extent.
Absolutely. And that's one of the messages we passed on to our staff. Everyone is we had a cluster in our system, and the cluster came from outside in, and they were like a little rattled because the numbers are going up. I said, but guys, remember that cluster was in the train when you before you come in. That those are the same people that was outside. So don't drop your arms when you go outside and think everything is okay. That same doorknob that you touched, may have had COVID. The same Uber that you were just in, that person could have just left. So just be very careful of everything that you do. Absolutely, it is a gamble everywhere. That's why I drive. I drive. I am trying to limit the
Yep.
touches
Mm-hmm.
as much as I can.
And ask yourself, how much are you willing to gamble? Do you play at the casino, Ted?
Oh, I do a lot of that.
How did I know that? How did I know that
That's my
just by having this
Home
conversation?
casino.
Yeah, my wife gambles more than I do, but I think at the end of the day, just being in healthcare work, and I can just speak for myself, I always felt safer in a hospital
Yeah.
because I knew what my surroundings was about.
Absolutely.
I knew what I had to
Absolutely.
put at, and
That's
I knew what to look for.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ted, you bring up a good point. We were talking about fear, anxiety, a little bit of what Dr. Carr was saying, am I going to be the one that expires from this and does not survive? Or am I going to be so sick that I'm going to have trouble going to work, taking care of my family, after I get better and don't test positive when I test negative? Because we know that for some very sick patients, that they continue to feel some of the negative health effects for months and months. But it's a really good point. So we were talking about this in our huddle, and we said the same thing, that we're in a controlled environment, and we have all the means to stay safe and take care of ourselves. And I think that's really important. But I agree with Linda. I am one of those people where I hope I don't get it, because I don't know if I would survive, because I just have crappy luck. So
Yeah, and Dion, it's so funny because I work out and I run and I run 3.5 miles or more in the summertime, and I
well,
do
you
all
should
this.
just stop that, Dr. Carr.
I do all this stuff, and then it'd just be me. Like
Yeah.
I'll be an outlier. Like, hey, Dr. Carter ran all those miles, lifted all those weights. Yeah, I'm an outlier, so I don't want to be the outlier.
Yeah. I think sometimes that if it possibly COVID-19 had the side effect of significant weight loss, I might want to put myself at a little risk, but no such luck.
But guess what it does?
That's
It
funny.
does, but not good weight loss though. So you don't want that.
Yeah, loss of taste and smell, but you still are hungry. That's great. Thank you. The world is really cruel.
So, guys, we're coming to an end. I think we've been rambling for about an hour now.
See what happens when we don't get together for a while?
Yes. So, Liz, what's our next step? What are we doing for our next podcast?
Well, we always said, I'm glad you asked that. I think, we talked about COVID fatigue. So I really think that we need to, like Ted. Ted has a very impressive and vast experience and career progression. I think it would be nice to talk about how some of our frontline team members and entry-level leaders have similar career progression, and maybe learn a little bit more about how Ted grew his career. Dion, how you grew yours. Dr. Carr, education and next steps that our frontline EVS team members can take, especially now. I mean, COVID-19 is bringing a lot of negatives, but the positive out of this could be maybe we need more people in specializing in, how to prevent it, and in the world of epidemiology and in EVS especially, people to help us combat some of these emerging pathogens, and because we're going to retire one day, right? I mean, we have what do we have left? Another 10, 15 years? So that's not a long time. I mean, I'm talking about panicking. I'm panicking more about my 402B and 401k than I am about COVID-19. So maybe career progression might be our next series of podcasts. I think that we would have a lot of frontline team members interested in that.
I think our next podcast is for Thanksgiving. I don't know about career paths. We're going to talk about turkey. So
Well, we could do that, and the one after we could start talking about building our future leaders, because we did say part of this podcast we wanted to dedicate to our frontline team and help them grow, and we don't want to waste. Dr. Carr is a perfect individual to help us out with that.
Absolutely. So thank everyone for joining us. Liz, were you saying something?
I was going to say we can just thank each other on our podcast next Wednesday.
Yes. Thank you, Ted, for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Carr. And hope, Ted, you'll join us next week. And Dr. Carr, see you next week. Liz, and everyone out there, thank you for joining Clean and Comfort.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.